about his journey building Perplexity. Super thankful for him to be here. He's on an 8-day trip to India to visit family in Chennai, and this is the only, Mumbai is the only place he came outside. I had something to do with that, but still. It's great to have him here. Like I said, before we get going, I do want to make a quick plug for Mumbai Tech Week. Mumbai Tech Week is our flagship annual tech event. Last week of February, Feb 24th to March 1st. The two big days are Feb 28th and March 1st at Geo Convention Center. It's the bringing together of the entire Mumbai tech ecosystem. Last year we had about 4,000 participants. This year we're expecting 10,000. Super excited to share that we've already got confirmations from Akash Ambani, N. Chandra, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, Arundhati Bhattacharya from Salesforce, and then most likely Ashwini Vaishnav from the Ministry of IT to be speakers. So save the date for that, and then I was told that we're going to play a video so that you guys all remember and save the date on your calendars.
Hey! You still need to use this mic. You need to use that mic too.
Oh, I think they, okay.
This is for the recording, which we are going to ask you, and we're going to record everything. We're going to post snippets of this on Twitter and YouTube, and TikTok is banned here, so otherwise we would have done that too. But
he's going to get me in.
So
yeah, he's trying to get.
Is this still working? There we go.
Okay, he's really trying to get me in trouble.
Firstly, thank you so much.
Wait, before he says anything, everyone's telling me he's the Sri Ramakrishna of India.
Without any press, thank God. But firstly, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for being here.
Also, thanks a lot for everyone who made it here. Really appreciate it. And yeah, and I know you're all busy doing a lot of different things. So he told me like almost all of you came here just to like, because at the very last minute. So truly appreciate your support, and hopefully like what I'm saying is useful to you somehow.
Awesome. Arvind, I think everybody, of course, knows Perplexity. How many over here use it? That calls for a...
Thank you. And some people didn't raise hands, so please use it.
So I think let's go back a little bit. Tell us why you started Perplexity. What was your thought when everybody was at that point thinking and using ChatGPT?
And by the way, we started Perplexity even before ChatGPT existed. We started Perplexity on August 3rd, 2022. ChatGPT released on November 30th, 2022. So I definitely started before, and wasn't like I looked at ChatGPT and then like tried to do something on top. That was not how it all came together. I just started the company because I wanted to be a founder and build something interesting. That's the honest answer. Lot of you must have all seen videos of like you should only start a company if there's a burning problem you want to solve, and you're the only person that can like figure it out, and like it's life's calling for you. No, that was not it at all for me. I'm just very brutally honest, and I just badly wanted to be a founder, wanted to do this thing, wanted to see for myself if I'm like, really deserve to like be running my own like company and team and get something out in the world that I feel proud about. That was really the motivation. No concrete idea, no business plan, no concrete product roadmap, nothing. And just very fortunate to get funding because I was like former OpenAI and Google. That's the only reason the company started. I was very obsessed about search. That has always been the thing. And we started building search over like databases like Twitter and like LinkedIn, GitHub, random like spreadsheets and all these things, with the hope that if I showed the demo to some people, they would work with us as enterprise customers and we could do a search over their internal data. That was really the motivation, but nobody wanted to give me any of their data because they just thought, okay, why would I trust three randos with something very proprietary? I would trust you if you had like, some former executives of Microsoft and Google, you raised a lot of funding and you had your own brand. We didn't have any of that. So we just thought, okay, maybe this is not the way to do things for us. We just have to release products out in the world and create our own like momentum. And maybe then people would come and work with us. And that's why we put Perplexity out. Except what happened was that product itself kept growing, that we just focused on it. That's really what happened.
Amazing. Where in your head is Perplexity today in the journey, and where do you want to take it to?
So I think we've done pretty well, way better than what I thought we would get to, which is, we got like several millions of users, tens of millions, 20 million queries a day. Starting the first day was 3,000 queries. I almost read all of them myself. That was the level of like dopamine hit you have when you just launch something out in the world and you see queries coming like streaming, right? Like it's really like, in my opinion, I think even on the day we got our Series A term sheet, I don't think I felt as happy as the day we launched and I saw the live queries coming in. That dopamine spike, I don't think has been matched so far, which is pretty weird, right? Like you would expect you'll get happier if you raise more funding rounds, make more revenue and all that, but no, like for me, that was the real dopamine hit. So where we are today is like, we are one of the products that a lot of people go to for asking questions and getting answers. There are many others. And of course, we're not the leading product in the market. ChatGPT is, but that's the state of the world today. But I think AI products are going to not just be about answering questions. It'll be a lot about like proactively doing things for you, thinking on your behalf, like pushing things for you that's very relevant to you without you even asking for it, and doing stuff on your behalf, and all that, making your life truly easy and like meaningful. And that's going to be what the next 2 years are about. And all the existing AI app layer players will try to win this new experience too. And we hope to like be one of the leaders there, just like how we were pretty early to the answers game. That's what I think like the next 2 years are for us.
What was some of the, lack of better words, some of the secret sauce that in your mind led to Perplexity being more successful than the others? Like, intuitively you would think, and the first time I heard about Perplexity, my guess is a lot of people had similar reactions. Oh, there's already, a chatbot that I can talk to. But there was obviously something special about the product, right? So what was that unlock and that time when you knew that, look, this is something different and you landed on like product market fit?
Yeah, so from the first day of the launch, we had sources, citations. We had no knowledge cutoff. And ChatGPT had both these limitations. And ChatGPT was making up references. So people clearly saw the difference, right? So I feel like that really helped us. Like the first set of users we got were like people who actually wanted accurate answers. And even if it wasn't accurate, they wanted like a way to fact check the AI. So they wanted sources right there. So I think that helped us get a lot of usage. We had like a free run, I would say, for many months. Then ChatGPT introduced browsing as one of the ChatGPT plugins, and that didn't really work. So there was more free run for us. Google was afraid to do anything here because they didn't want to hurt their search revenue, and they didn't want to piss off publishers who were going to be upset about the existing model of driving traffic to each of them. So they were moving very cautiously. And so during this period, we just kept growing our usage. I think around October, ChatGPT brought back browsing. That was the second time trying it. And obviously it was much better than the first time. But yet it was never reliable. the user never knew when it was going to use search and when it wasn't going to. And whereas in our product, it always use search. So even in the user's mind, clearly, like, you come to Perplexity if you always want sources, you always want accurate answers. And then by the time they tried to make it work better and better, like Anthropic had a model called Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which was way better than 4.0 at like making sure there's no hallucinations. It doesn't matter what the LLMs benchmarks say. Everybody in Silicon Valley knows that the most intelligent model right now, even today, there is no extra inference time compute, just regular compute is Sonnet 3.5. And we really benefited from that. And OpenAI obviously cannot put Sonnet in ChatGPT, right? Like, it's a rivalry for them. So we are model agnostic. So that gave us even more users. And then we shipped like a lot of new things too, like pro searches that do multi-step reasoning and things like that. And all this like helped us. Again, like they tried two times later to like bring back search again and again. But each time they brought it back and made it better, like our user base was getting bigger and bigger, that like we have our own unique presence in the market. And now I would say like the differentiation is not going to come from like being better at like, out of 100 queries, Perplexity did better on like 75, ChatGPT did better on 25. That's not going to be the competition. That's not, if we rely on that, we're not going to like make it. So we have to ship completely new experiences that go beyond just like, responding to a prompt. And that's what like we try to do with our shopping launch, where like it's not just the answer, you can actually buy stuff natively on the product. And we're going to bring that sort of commerce, commercial experiences on like many different verticals outside shopping. And we're trying to bring native financial charts, like we're trying to do like, reservations and things like that for local searches. And all this, we're going to like do more things on sports. So this is how like I feel the differentiation is going to like evolve over time. And I think each app will be pretty good at certain things. That's what I feel is going to be the next few years.
Awesome. All right. Easy questions over. This was all about, okay, cool, what you already know. Why does Perplexity need so much money?
Well, honest answer is we don't make that much money. So, if you want to get users, we have to spend money. And if we don't have that money, someone else has to pay for it. And so that's why we keep raising money. But jokes aside, like every company, every consumer company that got like more than 100 million users has raised a lot of money, except Google. And which is like a very anomalous situation there, where they figured out how to make insane amount of money themselves, and that paid for user growth by partnering with others for distribution and sharing revenue. No, we haven't unlocked anything like that, and neither has anybody else in the past like decade. So it's totally okay, totally reasonable to raise capital. And where are we spending it? We keep trying to improve the experience, like making sure there's no hallucinations, making sure our index is better, and then making sure we can serve more users, making sure our pro searches are even better and better. All that requires access to the best AI models, and these models are pretty expensive to run. Of course, the cost of these models is going down, but we don't want to wait till it's down to bring these experiences to users. We want to do it today, get the mind share, and then benefit from the reduced cost later when we have like 10x more users, right? That's why we raise capital.
Quick poll on this one, because I ask this question very often. Over here, in general, whether Perplexity or ChatGPT, in the last, let's say 12 months or 18 months, how many over here think that their usage of Google has considerably reduced?
Wow. I didn't expect that actually.
Yeah.
So I guess like I'm
right.
preaching to the choir here.
Yeah. 80% down, 90% down, I don't know, broadly give and take. I think
there's still like some stuff that you can only do on Google because we're moving slow, and we don't have like 10,000 engineers. Like say you want to check the score of the India-Australia cricket match that's going on right now. We don't have all these sports widgets done for all sports yet. Neither does ChatGPT. Right, so things like that. Or if you want to track the Indian election, like, let's say some state election, we can't do the live coverage yet that well. It's just has not been a big priority for us. We did lean in on the US elections, but we just don't have the bandwidth to work on every local state in every country. But you gotta assume that like we'll eventually do all this, and so will like OpenAI, and Gemini will also like integrate all these things. So the world is clearly moving to the AI apps.
Yeah. All right. Switching gears a little bit to capital, right? I think like I told you, the audience over here is a mix of large seasoned founders, investors, people from sort of traditional old world Mumbai running large businesses, and then very early stage startups. One of the things sitting over here in India, we sort of keep seeing happen, and what's happening in the valley is these massive capital raises, and so much capital going in. I mean, I think this last week, Elon announced 6 billion, you guys announced 500. I think the week before that or 2 weeks back, ChatGPT was slightly older, a few months back. And there's just so much capital that's going into the space overall. And I think you would have read this too. There was this famous Sequoia article that came out, which was the $600 billion AI question.
Yeah.
So just for all of us here, like, how are you, and in general as a proxy, Silicon Valley thinking about this? Just like, I mean, to my memory, and we're both maybe not, we've not been around that long, but to my memory, doesn't like, when was the last time such a large capital infusion happened to one technology shift? And how do you think about where all of this goes?
I mean, it hasn't happened, this amount of capital to one sector. Probably like, obviously, a lot of money was put into crypto 2-3 years ago, Web3 and all that, but not at the scale. I mean, leaving us aside, the other raises are way, one order of magnitude higher. For example, Anthropic raised 4 billion from Amazon, OpenAI raised like 10 billion, Elon raised like 6 billion, previously raised 5 billion. So we're talking about like, just between these three companies, like 30 to 40 billion dollars raised, right? And the only reason is like 80% or 90% of that is being spent on data centers. So they are raising money, but are actually committed to losing all of it over a period of like 2 to 3 years, just like spending on like buying GPUs. So the happiest person here is Jensen.
So should we all continue holding and buying more NVIDIA stock?
I mean, I think I'm not an advisor here, but like, it's a pretty safe stock, clearly. And so my sense is like they're trying to go for these AI intelligence, like AGI model supremacy. And so anytime somebody shows some scaling law results that are continuing, or a new kind of scaling law like the O models, the other person just wants to catch up. You could do two things. You could sit and think, okay, is it really the right thing? Can I be doing things a little more efficiently? Or you could be like, screw it, I'm just gonna like go and like do the same thing and like show that I can do it better. And the stakes are so high that you're gonna do the second thing, and the only way to do the second thing is raise capital and get the GPUs from Jensen, build the data center, or like work with Amazon or Microsoft, do it together, train the models, and put it out. Right? So this needs money. There's no other way to do this. You can calculate the dollar per hour of the GPU, you'll understand why. And they publicly said they want to build like 1 million GPU cluster. The only way to do that is have this much capital. We raise capital because we want to like get users, and like every query costs a certain amount, and like we want to do like 100 million daily queries or more than that. And
is the cost of inferencing dramatically coming down?
It is coming down. At the same time, like you want to provide these newer experiences to people that you can only do the more sophisticated models. If you really want to make models that can reason and break down a complex query into tasks, subtasks, that requires like better models. Like you cannot do it with the cheaper ones. So whatever is possible, like quick, fast answers is definitely going to come down. But you also don't want to just do that. You want to keep doing new things, or else your product will look stale and like boring, and someone else who has more money can ship newer experiences and just deprecate you, right? So that's why we want to have the capital to like keep doing new things and keep raising our user base.
Great. All right, switching a little bit to now India. Like I said, a lot of people over here, successful founders, early stage founders, investors. The honest truth is, and I keep saying this every time, that from my vantage point, the level of AI activity in India compared to the US, we're not even on the same playing field. And I think you said this on Twitter a few times. The number of startups or the capital going in, or just the general velocity of AI momentum here in India. One is to say we are way behind. In my view, like I said, we're not even playing the same game, and we're not even in the mix compared to the US or even France or China for that matter. And you've now made a couple of trips, and you've commented a few times. How do you think about the way founders here, large businesses, or even large unicorn founders should react to this AI wave, and what can people do different which is not happening yet?
I mean, firstly, I think like the amount of investment here is much lower. So let's not just blame it on the founders. I feel like there's only so much you can do with very limited money, and I guess there's like a lot of tendency here to think like I just want to build for the Indian market, and that means like you're aiming for like different set of things, which is where your point comes, which is like you're not even in the same playing field. And general model tends to be good at even the local needs too, because it's so general, it's very good at reasoning, and so even people here prefer using those models over like what someone else builds with a very specific focus on this market. And what makes all these products magical is the reasoning capability, the chat capability, instruction following, like long context, tool use. That's what makes the magic happen, not its linguistic like skills. So that was a mistake in my opinion, to focus too much on local languages and multilinguality over the skill set that these models need to have. So I feel like what we should be doing the next year is try to identify concrete consumer cases that can be shipped to like 900 million people that are like on the internet here, using existing models that are already in the market, open source ones, and maybe take advantage of the things that are uniquely possible here. Which is like, if you want to ship like an AI for healthcare app in the US, it's pretty regulated. I don't think that's the case here. So you can move a lot faster to ship like an AI doctor for everybody. So there are like some unique things that can be done here. Agents probably can be working much faster here because of all the UPI that already exists. So I think there are some advantages to operating here that people should tap into at a product layer, and not focus too much on just the one or two companies that are trying to build foundation models here. That doesn't mean foundation models aren't important. I think we certainly shouldn't be like 2 years from now we shouldn't be at a spot where China knows how to build like state-of-the-art foundation models and we don't even know how to build like a Llama 3 8B model. Like that wouldn't be like a good spot to be in either. So there are some things to learn from how China went about it, like the Quen models or DeepSeek. They're all like pretty exciting. So there's no reason we shouldn't be able to do it. And they did it despite not even being given access to the state-of-the-art NVIDIA chips because of the CHIPS Act. So we don't have all those constraints. So we should just pour in more money, like recruit good talent, and move our goalposts from like trying to build India-specific models to just trying to build the best models. I think that will also help recruit better people. No one's excited about like chasing like a small target that's not relevant to the rest of the world. So you have to position in a different way. You have to chase bigger targets. And same thing at the app layer. You don't have to focus on just shipping something for India alone. It'll be great if an app built by an Indian startup is also used by people outside India, right? Like that'll be like a great thing, and like people should try to do that.
Do you think
I think so. Like right now, if just
like December 26, 2000?
yeah, I think so. But that doesn't need to be the case forever.
Cool. Okay. You tweeted a few months back, and we spoke about this a little bit today, where you said that should there be a Perplexity for India? So, or something like, is there a Perplexity for India? Or what is the AI app for India? So are you thinking about doing something in India? Will we be able to get live India-Australia scores so I can reduce my Google usage further?
I mean, I'll definitely do cricket next year. I've decided already. So, if needed, I'll write the code for it myself. But like, what is Perplexity for India? I mean, there's a lot of, like, the more I live here, I think I'll understand it better. It's kind of weird to say, I obviously grew up here, but India's changed a lot in the last 7 years, and I haven't spent that much time here. But I do think, like, people want Bollywood, entertainment, cricket, all that's like table stakes, you have to get it. Even though for me, my goal is like I should be able to offer all that, but I want people in all these great colleges to be using it to study well and like do research, like write code faster, build stuff faster. I want all that to be free ideally. I don't even need to monetize these things. That way, like we get people habituated into using the product and monetize like some other verticals. That's how I think about it, and I would love it if there's like a lot of Perplexity usage in India. Maybe that itself is what is Perplexity for India. Not to say someone else shouldn't try to build it here. I actually saw someone tweet something where like they built Perplexity for JEE questions, something like that. Like it's called doubts.ai or something like that.
Doubts. That sounds like an Indian app, yeah. Doubts.ai, for sure.
So I mean, all that's interesting, right? Like sure, I considered it when I was like, trying like as someone told me, most of the JEE questions can be done on these apps right now. It felt bad, honestly. Like, I prepared so hard for an exam that an AI can just ace now. But it also feels good. Like, okay, those who are preparing for it no longer need to like. When I used to prepare, when I couldn't solve a problem in a book, I would have to like call some friend and we'd have to like break our heads. Now I can just ask an AI, it'll explain to me. There's literally no question in no book that can go unsolved. Sometimes the book answers will be wrong, and like I'll be like, wait, I definitely am right, but how is this something else? All that no longer is so inefficient now, right? How we used to do things like 10 years or 12 years ago. So I'm pretty excited that like these tools should just be in the hands of most people like who are trying hard to succeed and like trying to study hard. It'll be great if they're all like well educated and stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think all of us can probably say that I think it's extremely gratifying to see somebody who grew up in India and trying to build a product like you're building. So we should definitely.
Thank you.
And when we were chatting today, I couldn't believe like he's been away from India for only 7 years. So, and it's basically been just the last few years where the product has taken off. But one last question from me, and then we're going to open up a few to the audience. Do we have mics doing the round? The number one question I get asked every day in my capacity in what I do through all of these people is, if I'm running a business, I don't necessarily use AI today. I might be doing any business. I have this FOMO. This AI FOMO, right? Every day I'm noticing something or the other is happening, and here I am in Mumbai or Bangalore or Delhi and I'm losing out. What should I do?
Well, use the tools. That's the best way to stop feeling the FOMO, because you're literally using it. You're like making contact with the reality directly. The best way to stop feeling FOMO, or what is FOMO? You're just having uncertainty, right? So uncertainty just comes from lack of information, lack of like real data, grounding to the truth. So just get as close as possible to the source truth. Use all these tools yourself and get a sense of like how it can do things. Be on X. It's whatever, for good or bad. It has all this noise, but most of the AI stuff still happens there. So like try to keep a tab on it. And if you're running a business, I'm sure there's a lot of inefficiency in the way you run it. It exists in our company, every company. So trying to see if like there's ways in which you can use AI to like make it faster and more streamlined. You can do things with fewer people. No questions, you can definitely do it. Each of your employees should be using it, not just you, and kind of like force them to use it. All the programmers, all the software engineers in Perplexity use GitHub Copilot or Cursor, one of these two. It's necessary, we made it mandatory. And otherwise people are just going to take a week to do something that potentially can be done in a day, because they're just like trying to do everything themselves, and like, you know, human mind gets tired. AIs don't get tired. And with these O1 or O3 kind of models, like, not saying they're quite ready yet, but we're clearly heading to a world where models can do more and more complicated things. So we should definitely be huge adopters here, and like, and try to think about like, you know, reducing your headcount if needed. I'm not saying, you know, do the Doge thing, fire like 80% of the people, but at least like 10% or 5% you can cut down and like try to do better with AI. And having a smaller company also helps you focus on more important things outside of like just people management and, you know, bureaucracy. You can get rid of it totally. So it's a great time to be managing a company with AI.
And is it for new users, for all users, the Perplexity Pro free offer?
Everybody has a free 1 month pro right now until 31st of December. So you can go.
No, but we get a month after that. So you sign up before 31st.
Yeah, if you sign up for you can get 1 month of pro for free. I think the free part is pretty good, but the pro part is insanely good.
All right, amazing. All right, do we have the mics? Okay, so can you pass this around? Pick your favorite.
Hey, hi, Aravind. So you talked about inefficiency in business, right? And I also know the offering, right? Like, how do you split time in terms of mindshare on B2C versus B2B business? So a very different kind of problem to solve.
Yeah, we mostly just focus on B2B right now, B2C right now, and B2B is just a way for us to, you know, the whole thing started because Microsoft banned Perplexity for their employees. And I was like, okay, like then more companies started banning the usage of Perplexity. Amazon started banning it. And I was like, okay, why? Because we don't want our data to like leak. Okay, did you ban Google? Like people are like typing in work-related queries on Google, but too late, now it's too hard to do it. For AI, they were much earlier at like doing these things. So we said, okay, at least there should be a version of the product that can run with SOC 2 compliance and user management and security and all this stuff. So that's why we launched the enterprise. And then, okay, like simple things like building connectors to your Slack and like Google Drive, and like allowing you to upload files and customize versions of Perplexity through this Spaces feature we have. These things we want to support. And I don't think it's distracting us too much because even the average prosumer wants these things. Hi.
No. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ami from ATM. I've in fact seen almost 60% efficiency in my team as we speak in the last 10 months. So my question to you is, how are you balancing the size of the model with cost latency and performance? And how do you see the cost coming down in the Q cost, will it be GPU cost coming down, or becoming more lighter, efficient models, or what do you see?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think one trend is like, so in the Llama 3 generation, the 70B, the 7B or the 8B model was better than the 70B of the previous generation, right? It's essentially almost 10x cheaper. And the trend is that like costs are halving every 4 months. That's the current trend. So every year it's probably like 8x reduction. And the current predictions in Silicon Valley is that like that will continue for at least a year. So we should assume that it'll reduce by at least an 8 to 10x in the next year or two. So that probably means what? Like whatever is possible with something like Sonnet 3.5 will be way faster. Like something like Haiku can do like Sonnet level performance in the next year or two, which is amazing. And Google's already kind of showing that, like with the Gemini Flash 2.0, it's more or less as good as GPT-4o, but it's as fast as 4o mini, which is pretty amazing, right? And if you assume that there's one more like progress similar to that nature in the coming year, then we should just have much better models that are faster. That's certainly happening. So you're definitely like, hopefully Llama 4 gets us all that and it's open source and it's like pretty amazing.
Hi, so this is a theoretical question. I'm an early stage founder and I have seen that investors are running behind the technology curve. But we have seen that you have to sit and educate the investors in terms of what that particular technology is. And even if you show that you have a very core piece of technology which is pretty advanced, they will say that, oh, you're based in Pune, you can do this, and what is the moat? So the question is that, assuming you are not in Silicon Valley, you are in Chennai, how would you reach this particular problem?
Well, I'm not, I mean, I've never been, I don't even know like how to raise money if I'm in Chennai. I wouldn't be raising money in Chennai, that's for sure. I would be at least in Bangalore or something. Yeah, I think this moats thing is so weird. Like, why people are so obsessed about it? Like, how can you even have a moat on the first day or something like that? It's not just about being unreasonable. It's just illogical. Like moat is like what? Like just go by the actual verbatim definition. It's kind of like a wall that protects the kingdom from enemy attacks. That's what moats are. And how do you build it so fast? It needs a lot of time and strategy and like iteration to get there. And no one had any. You can argue OpenAI has absolutely no moat today. Like whatever they have, the old models, will be replicated by 3 or 4 others in like a span of like 3 to 6 months from now. That doesn't mean that company is going to die. Within that time span, they will do something new, right? So the moat is essentially the company, like the group of people that are able to produce those breakthroughs. It's not actually the specific release or iteration. When that group goes away, then there's no company. So you can argue it's a very vulnerable position to be in compared to something like Google, which has like $100 billion in cash and like all the advertising networks and things like that, right? But how is it reasonable to compare like a company that's like a product that's 2 years old to like something that's like 25 years old? It's unreasonable. So if investors are asking you about moat on the first day, you should probably not even be raising money from them.
One last question.
Hi, Rizwan Thakur here. Just a question. How's the hallucination percentage on Perplexity. And since you're model agnostic, you've obviously built on different models. So when you control it, at which level is the hallucination? How are you actually managing it?
Yeah, so if you're on the Pro plan and you pick Sonnet 3.5 as your default model, I think it's very hard to find a hallucination right now. At least that's my experience, and maybe 1 in a 50 to or 1 in a 80 queries will hallucinate right now. But if you the same product, you pick like say Haiku 3.5, this is the lighter weight version, you'll be able to identify hallucination like 1 in a 20 queries or 1 in a 15 queries or something. So the cheaper, lighter weight models will hallucinate more. The better models will hallucinate way fewer. On the non-pro plan, on the default version, we have worked hard to get to a point where it's like 1 in a 25 or something like that, like half the rate of hallucination of Sonnet, which is impressive, but you know, at the scale of queries we operate in, you're still going to get a lot of mistakes. So we think like next year it will go down, like the default version itself will be like 1 in 100 queries will hallucinate. We want to get to that mark. And that's the point where you will just take it for granted that like, okay, this answer is like going to be pretty much accurate. I don't need to worry about it.
So for Google, it was the browser which was the Trojan horse, which got it the billions of users. So from your perspective, what is going to be that strategy for you to get to those number of users while you're really tanked up on cash to acquire customers? Have you thought around what is going to be the real secret sauce to get those users on board?
Yeah, I mean, like browser is not a secret sauce. It's just really hard to do. It is hardcore engineering. You need to hire people who can actually write like really good C++ code. But yeah, I think at some point we'll have to do it. There's no way to get around it. Not just from the perspective of getting users. I think if you really want to make agents work, you'll realize that like you need a browser, or else there's no way for users to authenticate the AI to act.
Basically, we're going to see a browser product coming right now after this.
Yeah, I don't know if it will come in near future, but like I'm just saying it's inevitable. Like it'll have to happen for everybody, mainly because there's no other way to make agents work. And whether it's a headless browser or like an actual browser front end is unclear. It really depends on how reliable the models become.
And in an agentic environment, does it even matter what browser it is?
Exactly. So if the agentic models are very reliable, then the front end can be just a chat UI. But if it's not reliable, you cannot just be completely headless. You need the user to intervene and like finish the tasks. And that needs some front end to interact with the browser tasks. So there the UI does matter.
And I think you did that hack giving all the college students access to the pro version. Is there a similar plan for India and other places?
Yeah, it's open. It's open internationally now. So if people in India want, any Indian colleges can also sign up for it.
Can we come here?
Hey, hi, Aravind Srinivas this side from Zero the Family Office. So I wanted to double down on the point you mentioned, two types of queries, the complex queries and the other commercial navigational use cases. So as an investor, I see a lot of founders building for consumer use cases, solving for them. I wanted to understand and get your outlook on the agentic landscape, given your exposure to the Bay Area. Is that something that Indian founders have an edge, or if given the big players start building on that front?
I think certainly billing and like payments probably are going to be easier to do here compared to like using something like Stripe and like figuring out things with merchants. I think here transactions, like I read somewhere like 500 million UPI transactions are happening on a daily basis. So there's definitely like the foundational infrastructure is easier, and you can get it in the hands of like way more people faster here. So there's certainly some advantages here. I think it's a question of figuring out like how to work with the right merchants for each vertical. Like for restaurant reservations, can you convince someone like Zomato or something to work with you, right? I think, yeah, it's a question of like having the right incentives. Like, why would Ola or let you book a cab through your AI app, or those kind of things that we're thinking about.
What sort of use cases are you looking at Perplexity for such navigational use cases?
Yeah, we started with shopping, and I think we're going to go deeper on it and travel, like those kind of like obvious low-hanging fruits. But I think like when the transactions become like, even higher amounts, more research needs to be done there. So it's like a natural fit for a product like ours. Compared to say you buying like a $5 or $10 like item on Amazon, like I don't think you need a tool like ours to even help you decide what to buy. That's commodity, right? When something's not really commodity, when like it's pretty expensive and you have to actually spend time researching things, that's where a product like ours can be pretty useful.
Got it.
Just pass it ahead. Last question.
Thanks. Aravind, great chat. And Aravind, you and Aravind were talking about capital and India as two different sections. So one question is that, say, as probably the foundation LLMs are developing in the area, a lot of capital going into that. So Indian entrepreneurs here should probably try and focus on creating Indic databases which are enriched with that Indian context and really kind of enrich the LLMs that are available globally. Or would you say that there should be capital going into actually trying to find, say, healthcare data in India is not really available because, say, prescriptions are not digitized. So how would you say the next layer of these applications will be built? Because as you said, these 300, 400 billion parameters are parameter models are already out there. So, and we don't have that amount of capital that the Bay Area has. So how do you think that Indian entrepreneurs should actually try and build AI applications?
I guess like you can already start with like post-training these models on specific use cases, right? Like, for example, if you're building for healthcare, like making sure that you're able to like, let's say it's just doing that thing you said, like there's a lot of medical records, like what if you just threw an LLM to like digitize everything? Surely you have to work on the right formatting, structured formats, so you have to output some JSONs and like build these records, like able to process so many different files at once. So context is a thing. And these require like specific post-training of the open source models. If you can do that, making sure it works on Indian languages, all that's like pretty useful.
All right. Hold on. Okay, cool. Still not on. Hello. All right. Sorry. Okay. Gonna wrap up now. Last two questions. First, what excites you the most about AI and what scares you the most about AI?
I think what excites me is like, we're not even scratch the surface of what's possible.
Do you truly as all of us here, and I'm not talking for myself, but we've kind of heard this many, many times over these last 20 years that we've not even scratched the surface on something. Do you truly believe that?
Yeah, I believe it. I think a lot of the things that is possible hasn't even been shipped yet. And there's just so much work to do on our end. And that'll be like one app where you can do almost everything informational, commercial. The first proper super app for the Western world and even India for that matter can be built only with AI. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're very focused on that. What am I scared about? I think like it's not happened yet, but there's a potential of like this sort of super intelligent models. You cannot discount it completely. Where you just throw like $1 million or $10 million of compute at like one problem and then nail it, and then the solution can be like monetized for like 100 million or even $1 billion. And so whoever can afford a lot of inference compute ends up with crazy advantages over those who cannot. So it's extreme like power law distribution there, extreme wealth inequality, and that could lead to some weird outcomes where like countries that have access to like these kind of models and can like spin up arbitrary servers, like go solve like very hard problems, have like way more advantages than those who cannot. And that might lead to weird like geopolitical things too, like stealing the weights and things like spies, China and US in particular. And yeah, there will be some weird times. Let's just say, put it that way. If super intelligence is pretty close, there will be some weird times in the world.
Okay, great. Finally, there's a lot of influential people in this room. You have 4 days left in India. Who do you want to meet?
In this room or in general?
In general, in India. We were going to call up PM Modi soon, but besides that.
Yeah, that was one of my answer. I mean, that's only. Yeah, I would love to meet the Prime Minister. If somebody can help, that'd be great.
Okay, awesome. We're going to try and write an email and call him up and see if he's available to spend New Year's with you. He doesn't take off an holiday at all. So, but Aravind, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
For doing this. And it's time for dinner, and Arvind's going to be hanging around with us for a bit. Please help yourself. Thank you so much.
So we're going to create a research report which is completely nobody's sitting on. And a short, not like long 10-pager AI.